Hi, SK. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. And I'm really been really looking forward to talking to you because I watched the film earlier today and wow, I thought this was a really special movie. So you must be really proud of making this one.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I am. I am. We had a great team that we assembled for this, and we worked really hard to kind of put what you see on the screen.
Oh, that's awesome. And I really think Megan Fox, I think she's a really underrated talent. And I know you both worked together on Till Death, but I am curious to begin with, why was she right for this particular role of Alice in your eyes when you came to cast in the film?
She when we were developing the film, I didn't actually really think about who was right for this role at that point. And then when we started to cast, it was actually one of the producers that had brought her up because it was the same team where we had that had done Till Death. And I thought about it, and having worked with her before, I thought about her strengths and what we could do here, and how it was really completely different from that first movie we had done. So I thought that was quite interesting. And I think a big thing as well was the intimate scenes. Was that we had built that trust from having that movie already, and I think that was pretty vital for this. For whoever we picked to come in here, having that trust. And I thought, well, we've already kind of built it here. We can kind of build bigger, from there. And so having that trust, I think, really went a long way to creating an environment where we all felt comfortable and could try things, explore things in that way, and come up with the scenes that we did.
Yeah, amazing. And when it came to working with Megan on, on how she'd convey Alice's emotions and, her mannerisms, and then obviously the sexuality of the character as well, which is obviously a big part of who she is. What was that process like between the two of you of that, that collaboration of figuring out who Alice would be and what she would look like on screen?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I actually feel that, when we were on the page, there was a multitude of ways she could perform this. And very early on, I was having talks with her about how vital her performance will be, because we kind of want to create something that's robotic, and that feels a little clunky, and that you kind of uh, distance yourself from that audience in that way. But at the same time, we kind of needed a certain amount of emotion there for those intimate scenes, so they didn't kind of fall apart or feel comical or whatever. So to me, it was a very fine balance we had to find here. And she actually came up with this idea of a ballerina, and her movements being slow and precise and everything like that. So once we kind of zoned in on that aspect of it, it was really just kind of building from there. So I think the first scene we actually shot was her coming into that house, and you can see where she's kind of walking around and putting things down. Her posture is always perfect and everything like that. And yeah, we just kind of built on from there. And then as we got to that third act, we could kind of play into this a bit more chaotic glitches, and have a bit more fun there, which was definitely a little nerve wracking for her to kind of just, perform in that way. And, I was kind of saying, just trust me. I think I know how we can make this work, with even just speed ramps within the editing, but visual effects and sound design is all going to come together in that later sequence. But we did try a few different levels of kind of chaotic glitching, and a bit more calmer, and seeing which one worked in the end. And I think ultimately we went with those kind of crazier glitches, and I thought they came out really well.
Yeah, completely agree. And this is such a great character. And I really liked how the film, you've got so many genres here. There's some horror, there's some sci-fi. Obviously, you're really delving into AI, which is a real hot topic at the moment. But for you as a filmmaker, how challenging was it to blend all those different kind of genres and make it work as well as it does in the film?
I think Will and April, who are the writers of the script, they really had embraced that early on, and that's what excited me about the film. Was that, oh, it kind of starts out as this erotic thriller, and then it kind of moves into this sci-fi horror towards the end, and those little kind of phases as it goes through. Um, I get really excited about it, because then I'm like, all right, well, we can take the audience this direction, and suddenly we can move into this direction and play with, these aspects. I mean, sci-fi just in general as a filmmaker is the most exciting thing to be in, because you're kind of like, we can take this everywhere we want. And for me, I had to really restrain myself and say, no, we're trying to keep this grounded, because, AI is so prevalent in our society now, and I wanted it to be, you know, a focus on, you know, how we are trying to transition with AI currently, especially, you know, in post-production. We had all those writer strikes and everything happening about, you know, as we were fighting for our rights against AI. So it was kind of a, yeah, it was kind of a scary time where you were, you know, we felt like we started off feeling like we were making a sci-fi film, and then as we kind of got closer to finishing this film, it was like, oh no, this is very present.
Yeah, absolutely. And something I liked about Will and April's script, they do obviously create like almost a mythology here in terms of, this was a very realized world that we step into. But what was the fun of that for you? There's that great scene, we see that surgery taking place. And I don't want to spoil anything, but and then more I felt like throughout the film too, as the story develops. But what was the fun for you in delving into that and realizing that on screen as well?
Well, you know, I think what I loved about that, especially with the script entirely as well, is like we kind of get glimpses. You know, we are really seeing the world through the lens of this family, and it's a much more intimate sci-fi film than your usual, I think, AI film usually explore this kind of the world first, and you know, these kind of life or death situations in terms of the world kind of coming to an end. I really wanted it to feel as intimate as possible. So getting these little glimpses of the workforce or the hospital and stuff like that were so exciting every day we got to it. And I'm glad you mentioned the surgery scene, because I think as it was scripted, it was actually like just a robotic arm that we've seen before and everything, and we couldn't locate one that would fit within budgetary reason. Like, it was just crazy how expensive it was to get one on there, and then visual effects we were looking at and or building something, and it just didn't quite feel right. And so I remember coming up with the idea of these Sims that, yeah, you know, no spoilers, look a little bit different to the other Sims, and just having this movement coordinated where they all are kind of, you know, connecting to each other on a different level. And we actually got dancers in to perform that, just to make sure their movements felt, you know, very choreographed and perfected.
Wow, yes, it's such a great scene. And, I think it's a great word as well. And you say the film is a very intimate kind of story. And, it's really interesting to me how you explore that idea of temptation, this beautiful synthetic that enters Nick's life. And at the same time, he's almost grieving the family and the world that he's lost as well. So that must have been a really interesting thing to sink your teeth into as a director, and to try and realize that as well.
Definitely. I feel like you know, family was such a prevalent theme throughout it, especially when I first read the script as well. Um, and for me, you know, I really fell in love with the script when Maggie kind of, you know, returns and finds her position, having now been taken by a sim. And you know, that family dynamic, to me, the way that, you know, her kind of butting heads with this sim from then on, that was so much fun to kind of play with and build from there. And in fact, when I came on board, we kind of developed the script from there to kind of focus a little bit more. And what I loved about, you know, Maggie was the fact that she kind of sneaks in to the film and slowly becomes the hero as well. And so yeah, all these kind of like family dynamics, they were exciting to play with. And like you said, with, you know, Nick's character, you know, him having that temptation and playing into that, I felt like we hadn't fully explored that in sci-fi films yet. There are a few out there that have, you know, played into that, but I really, you know, love that element of the temptation, and then how that kind of drifts into Alice slowly taking, you know, this mothered position of the family.
Amazing. Well, awesome to speak to you, Scott, about this film, because, like I said, I had such a great time with it. I know not everything needs a sequel, but I would love to return to this world, because what an awesome movie. So thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat today.
Thank you. I really appreciate hearing that. Thank you so much.
And congrats on the movie. I hope it's a hit, 'cause it deserves to be. Cheers.
Thank you.